yesterday, you heard, I don't know if you heard the governor of Osun State when he spoke about how, the farmers oftentimes want to farm, but they're worried about how they have to do everything. They have to be the farmer, they have to be the marketer. Oftentimes, sometimes you do not get the people who will come and collect these things, the middlemen, as it were, who will take them to the market. Oftentimes, rural farmers do everything along the value chain by themselves. And in the case when they give it to middlemen, they don't make any profit. So at the end of the day, the middlemen tend to take most of this profit. So according to him, there has to be some pricing, mechanism where there is a minimum price guaranteed for farmers. Do you have that problem? Do you see that as a problem? And are you working in that particular area as well?
Obviously, that has continued to remain a problem for our farmers who are largely small-scale farmers. And looking at Kano State, we have horticulture is one of our strong strong areas. The tomato farmers are the worst hit by this problem because they are selling perishable items. So it's either they sell or they lose on both sides. But I must tell you, Markway, that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. At least for the first time, agriculture is having a focus. It is on the concurrent list. And that is why we have to have a synergy between the state government, the federal government, and the local governments. And the Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Akinwumi, has started putting that, and the President is supporting him. We want him to continue supporting him so that we can be able to, work properly together. Now we are putting agriculture in focus, and once the sectors are developed along the value chain, I am sure that our farmers will begin to feel a little bit relieved. But I must tell you again that agriculture, the whole perception about agriculture has to change. You have to do agriculture because you want to make money as a business, not because you inherited it. What made me happy is during this summit when I started seeing young faces coming with their tags, coming in, being, employed in the sector. Because what we are having in the rural areas is like, you are born into a farmer's family and you have to farm. So you don't even know, you may not be doing it for a business. Maybe you're doing it to survive. But that has to change. In my state, what we are trying to do is to empower them to have a little bit more money so that they can have, a bigger farm and they can have the best of the seeds and everything. We shared the 1 billion naira CAX loan. And if there must be one policy that I would recommend to continue, it should be the CAX loan that the Central Bank of Nigeria gave to all the states in the country.
What about the World Bank? Because we understand in order to make this a big-time business for farmers in Kano State, you have a partnership. You talked about Commercial Agriculture Development Project, the CADP. You had some young men and women come in. Tell us more about that.
Yes, the CADP is a program that we are participating in, and we are promoting 3 value chains basically, which is rice, maize, and the dairy. It has been helpful. However, as it is with all governors, when they come in, some of them have their own pre-planned programs. My governor is skeptical about taking credits, and that is why we are being a bit careful, because he believes that if you can mobilize the farmers and support them, you don't want to burden your state with so much. But now that is what led to the restructuring of the World Bank program in my state. And now my governor is comfortable because he believes that you should build institutions. Institutions tend to outlive their, creators. But when you want to do a program that you keep putting money into the conduit and you cannot pinpoint it, it is not good. It doesn't tell well.
Kano State is big for tomatoes production. That's another perishable.
Yeah.
Have you been able to put anything in place for the big-time tomato farmers as well as other perishables in your state to preserve these produce?
We do a lot of post-harvest training to show them how they can pasteurize the tomatoes and keep them for the next year. That is at a small scale. But in the big scale, thanks to the Dangote company that is putting up a big tomato factory, which should be able to at least uptake the tomatoes from our farmers. And that aside, we are also doing something as regards the carriage. Right now, they carry them in baskets and they stack them. So right from there, they start having the perishable staff. So we are promoting the use of a new basket that will put the weight on the two sides rather than pressing, stacking them upon. That would to a large extent reduce the losses. Then we are also supporting them with cheaper inputs, because the governor has opened, directed we open a small farmers input shop which is subsidized. It's there. We give them we had a meeting with them, stakeholders meeting with all the farmers associations. They recommended what they want to see as inputs in that store. And we put them there. They're genuine and they are subsidized so that we can reduce their cost of production.
Do you still have extension people who go around? Because we remember then in history, during the Sardauna era, people will go even in their bicycles, go into these small farms to see how they can assist some of these people with some technological advancement and even expert help.
That is the village extension agents. We have them. Kano State ADP remains one of the best ADPs that are still surviving. We have them. However, due to the large interest now on, that revolve around the agricultural production, we're recruiting more extension agents because they are outstretched. But that aside, what we do now with the new technology on board, we bring them together, bring most of their representatives together, listen to them what they want. We get consultants to do some trainings for them so that they can train their people in the rural areas also. So we are trying so much. Agriculture is such a big sector, and really what we need, the most important thing, is to put the correct structures on ground so that people that even come after us can continue.
Speaking about structures, how are you handling land? Because we talked about the Land Use Act the other time, and farmers could have challenges if they have to access land, because large-scale farming requires huge expanse of land.
To be candid with you, the problem of land is not so much in my area, because that is one of the assets that the state has. Okay. And aspect of land, it's more intense in the other side of the country, where the vegetation is very, very thick and difficult to handle. But in my area, what we do is, Kano State remains the highest irrigated state in the country, and for that reason, we own some of those irrigated areas. We give them out mostly to the vulnerable and to groups that we believe otherwise may not be able to have them because of the dry season farming. We do 2 sessions. We do the 2 seasons, the dry and the wet. Now, what we do is, during the dry season, people apply through their associations. And for the first time, I'm the first commissioner for agriculture, a female commissioner for agriculture in the state. So obviously, I know the vulnerable groups have always had to struggle to get their voices heard. But what is making me, successful in this sector is the fact that the governor is gender sensitive. So whenever we come to share that, we reserve and ensure that a large number of women also have access to that irrigated land. And not only that, in the north, mostly we inherit lands, and we have vast amount of land, and sometimes even people allow their farmlands to be cultivated by those that want more farmland if you don't want to do it. So our problem is not so much in the size of the land, but it is in the use of new technology, in the use of good seeds, enough fertilizer to ensure that you have the correct output.
So you're working with research